Namaste, greetings to all, and welcome to another episode of One Way of Thinking About It. One Way of Thinking About It is a Q&A platform where we take up questions from individuals around the world, and we take about 10 minutes or so to deep dive into each question and answer it from our deepest understanding at this present moment. So, with the foundation laid, let's get into our question of the week. Our question of the week comes in from BC, Victoria, Canada. Checking in. Welcome, Canada, to the building. Yes. Nice to have you. So, our question reads, is it possible to love another person unconditionally when you might not yet love yourself unconditionally? Is one limited by the other, or perhaps does feeling unconditional love for another help you to cultivate that feeling towards yourself? This is a great question, powerful question, and we're going to need to break down a couple of different concepts here, starting with love, and then we will get into yourself. So to have context and for us to have a definition of love, we need to start there so we can build on that. So a definition of love is attachment plus unselfishness equals love. And then on the other side of that, you have selfishness plus love equals attachment. So, or you can look at it also from attachment plus selfishness equals possessive attachment. I like to look at it from that side. So, love, attachment plus unselfishness equals love. Attachment plus selfishness equals possessive attachment. Okay, so with that definition of love, is it possible to love another person unconditionally? Love is love. This is where it has gotten to be very clouded, confusion with the word love, because every other person or every person has a different definition, a different feeling, a different understanding, a different way that they consider love. And this is one of the things that causes a lot of conflicts in relationships, because we all have a different definition of love. So when we look at it from attachment plus unselfishness equals love, the unconditionalness is in there because we are unselfish, and that is the key factor with love, is the unselfishness. When we are unselfish, we are able to let any person, creature, being be and do what they need to do to evolve. Let them be the person that they came here to be. And we just get to experience that. This is what we are all here to do, is to experience. However, we like to add ourselves into things. So that leads us to the other part that we need to define, is yourself. So with the self, we can speak of the lower personal self, which consists of the body, the mind, the intellect. This is the little personal self that we mostly, 98% of the world believes and thinks that this is the only thing that you are, that we are. For us that are on the spiritual path and evolving to understand the ultimate self, the absolute self, the Godhead, the Christ consciousness, the Buddha consciousness within us all. The higher self, we'll call it. So we'll call the lower self the personality, which is the body, mind, and intellect, and then we will speak of the higher self as that Godhead, that existence that resonates within us all. So, is it possible to love another person unconditionally when you might not love yourself unconditionally? So, when we love a person unselfishly, there's no conditions there. So, that when we truly love, it's unconditional. There's no conditions because we're completely unselfish and we're allowing that person to be and evolve and do what they need to do and what they need to experience for them to evolve in this life. So this is love, period. And you can add on the term unconditional, but it's just love. It's just period love. We we need to start to get to the true understanding of love, so we're not mixing and clouding it, and it's very clear for us. So then you move into the part when you might not yet love yourself unconditionally. So loving ourselves. So when we speak of the lower self, the body, mind, and intellect, loving that. So we have such this attachment, this is all that we think we are, is the body, mind, and intellect. So it is a pretty selfish attachment that we have to it. My body, my mind, my intellect. It's a very selfish. So it's a possessive attachment that we have to this body, mind, and intellect. So anything that happens to it, we are affected to the utmost degree to it. This is why we go to the lengths to protect it, and all the different things that we do when it comes to the lower self, the smaller self. So if we could, if we can, when we raise ourselves and start to evolve, and we turn this possessive attachment to the lower self, the body, mind, and intellect, when we raise this to love, when we raise it, when we start to become unselfish with it and understand that the body, the mind, the intellect is not truly who we are the higher self. When we start to awaken, when we start to awaken to this idea, when we start to grow, evolve into this, and we start to become unattached possessively to the lower self, that unconditional love, we'll say that unconditional love. Well, it's not because the higher self is something that you have to experience, so I can't even truly speak on what that would be, but that would what the great ones speak of. It is this love that we have never experienced before. This a feeling of complete ecstasy and love that is unheard of. So to get to know this, to get to know that love, to get to know that self is the ultimate goal. So is one limited by the other, or perhaps does feeling unconditional love for another help you to cultivate that feeling towards yourself? It helps to cultivate that feeling for the higher self when we can experience love with the lower self, the body, mind, and intellect. When we can experience that and raise into that unselfishness, it raises us, it evolves us to the heights that we need to, the different states that we need to reach to start to grow, evolve, to possibly start to understand the absolute self, the higher self. But yes, the only way that we can truly start to possibly wrap our heads around, get any sort of concept around this is to experience love with others, identifying with other beings, other human beings, animals, plants, the full identification with this planet and universe that we live in. So the closer that we can get to that unconditional love, that true love, just love, will help to cultivate that true love, that true unconditional love for the lower self and the higher self. So, this is one way of thinking about it. Thank you for joining me for this episode. Great question, powerful question. There's so many ways that we could go with it. Yes, such an exciting question. Much love, health, peace, prosperity to all, and namaste.